Okay, now I will talk about restoring real money, chapter 14. And he has this quote from Frederick Hayek. I am more convinced than ever that that if we ever again are going to have sound money, it will not come from government. It will be issued by private enterprise. That's what his quote is. So his diagnosis of current state of the world. Government is getting bigger and bigger by more tax collections and quantitative easing, money making, supply of money, currency actually, supply of currency is getting larger and larger and larger. During this process, the debts are getting bigger and bigger and bigger because they need to make debts. The U.S. Congress approves the government to make debt ceiling increased, and the government decided to make more debts by selling U.S. Treasury bonds in the open market, and then people buy them, or Federal Reserve buys them, and then they in return they pump newly created digital numbers, which is currencies, into the societies. So that's how they make fulfillment of promises that they made during the re-election campaign. So as the result, lots of fake money thrown into the society. So continuous stimulation produces fake money abundantly in the society, and fake money, since this is fake money, it doesn't work as a real money. The real money should have gone to entrepreneurial activities because through entrepreneurial activity, new tested knowledge are born, and the new tested knowledge are actual wealth. Since money is seeking wealth, so if it was a real money, real money should have flown to promote entrepreneurial activities and research activities, so that the graduate schools like ECS, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, there will be more students willing to learn more new stuffs, so that they can use this new knowledge and make a startup companies to test these new knowledge, so that they can become rich in real sense. But fake money gives the wrong signal. All this money went to speculative markets, so that's not good for the real economy. So speculative investment thrives with the booming of money exchange market, like I told you. Lavish spending from borrowing make people's lives miserable. So government in this type of economy says you just need to borrow money from the bank. So you just need to get this fake money and spend. Then there will be a demand from people because they have money to buy stuff, such as cell phones and houses and so on and so on. But this is going to make them miserable in their life. So that is the road to serfdom. You become slaves of the money. So that's what they say. So here, mortgage here means that you pay your debt through your lifetime. Mort is to mean death, and gage is to mean pledge. So you make a pledge to pay back what you owe throughout your lifetime. That's what mortgage is. So for example of American people, they get mortgage loan of a 30-year loan, and then they buy a house using this loan, and then during the lifetime they pay back their mortgage payments, mortgage loans. So by the time they have finished up, if they ever finished up, what they have left is a house that they have lived through. And his proposal is a policy change. Existing policies based on demand-side economics by a few elites, government and central banks, suppress real growth. Real growth is done by learning. And then if you have learned new stuff, new tested knowledge is wealth. So in order to come back to the real economic growth, so basically we need a shift in policy. So he says that it is a supply side economics which can bring about instant and sharp enhancement of all entrepreneurial asset, and then key to supply side economy is real money restored. Lower taxes and deregulations are those things that he advocates. So basically, that's you can read about these consequences of honest money. So maybe I'll quickly read through it. To supply side economics from demand side economics. To deregulate the economy from oppressive regulations. So if you have too much regulation, you cannot have a startup to grow. In order to meet the regulations, you have to be big banks or big companies. So you have a large amount of assets, a large amount of money to be prepared for government regulations. But as you have seen and money and power, basically, if you are rich, you can meet these regulatory demands, or you can change the regulations by lobbying in the Congress. So you can make the city councilors and you can make the lawmakers come to your side so that you can do more speculative, more risky businesses. And when the time comes with the economic crisis, they get bailed out because they are too big to fail. And because this is about entrepreneurial activities and the main street, people are going to be benefit through innovation, manufacturing of goods and the skilled immigration is welcome, and there are going to be more initial public offering because money has been taken away from the speculative speculative money markets and so on, and then shifted toward entrepreneurial activities and so on. And in this process, the size of the government should be smaller, getting smaller and smaller as time goes on. And more opportunities are given to private entrepreneurs because more money is given to entrepreneurs rather than to government. So these entrepreneurs make changes, make advancement in tested knowledge, and they will make real products and services, and that's the real growth. And then everyone in the process can thrive because they get cheaper electronics, cheaper solutions, wide abundance of product and services, so that everybody can enjoy. That's the advancement of society. Not throwing of money and asking them to spend beyond what they can afford. To achieve all these can be helped by redemption of sound money. Okay, so that's it. So sound money, honest money has certain characteristics these days. We no longer talk about territorial money anymore because the world is now connected through internet. So we need to talk about global money on the internet, and the exchange rate has to be fixed, like a gold standard, where you have 1 ounce of gold is equal to 35 US dollars. When you submit 35 US dollars to the US bank, central bank, then the central bank will give you 1 ounce of gold. And this was rule throughout the whole world. And in such a period, the world economy was booming. That's what he's talking about. And then you should be able to make payments over the internet without worrying about security of the internet. And and then it should be decentralized rather than centralized. Not we don't want a few elites in a few elites in the you know, in the hegemonic country, like in this case, United States. They make all the decisions. Rest of them follows. We don't want this type of centralized governance anymore. We want to have a distributed system so that everyone can have a say in the regulations or consensus. They come to consensus, and then these rules should be put into the computer network, and then they are enforced by programs working on top of these worlds of computers and routers and switches. That's the distributed system that we talked about, and it is Bitcoin. And there were previous attempts. For example, Greenspan talked about short-term bonds, 5-year U.S. Treasury notes, payable in gold rather than the fake money. And then we can ask the people to choose which one do you want to get repaid by the U.S. government. Let's say a 5-year Treasury bill. Let's say you give money to the U.S. government, and the U.S. government in 5 years later will pay you back with gold or in U.S. dollars. Which one do you like to choose after you have learned all this happening? So obviously the choice is real money, right? So because the fake money will get devaluated, and the power of the fake money is going to get less and less over time. So the choice is obvious. So if you have this type of real obligation put on top of government activity, government has to be prudent as well. Not only the real store owners, mom and pops, and the workers in the factory has to be prudent, but government has to be prudent as well. So they cannot make empty promises anymore because they have to pay back in the future with the real money. So that's the power of having real money all around the world. But this type of attempts obviously haven't got realized. And so this talks about nature of sound money and consequences, which is all I have said already. So you can read through it. And can such a change be made? Yes, we have examples like U.S. in the World War, after the World War II, and New Zealand, Israel, and China's miracle. Basically, China has grown its economy size as comparable to the U.S. And then during this process, China, have fixed its currency to the U.S. dollar. So China doesn't have a floating currencies like the rest of the world. So they made this decision. So it was a source of growth, genuine growth, and so on. It talks about page 154, the scandal of money. So that's what restoring the sound money. And then he suggests that Bitcoin is something like gold. Gold is a real money for the thousands of years for human history. And then in the era of internet, these knowledge and information flows across the boundaries. And then if we can make real money, which can be make payments for real knowledge, real tested knowledge, and then you can make a payment on the services and goods without the involvement of central governments, controls, and taxes going across the uh, international boundaries and so on and so on, then we can have a more efficient economic system where a real economic activity, which is growing knowledge, making tested knowledge by entrepreneurial activities, then the real world economy will grow. And then young people get funding from other countries through Bitcoin, for example. And then they can start their businesses by as the and tested the new knowledge they created through hard work and research in the graduate school, for example. And they can talk about new satellite system, the new phone system, and the new sensors which can see through the fogs and so on, so that people can use these technologies to see better, communicate better, work together better, and so on and so on. All these technological advances can be used to improve the human condition. And that's the real growth. And that can be measured by real money. And real money will flock together to promote more activities, more productivities, more innovative works of young people, and so on. Okay, I'll talk about the changing world order next.